Yes, hi brothers and sisters. Hope everyone's well. I better watch me smile. I've got a couple of crowns missing. I'm getting them put back in later on this afternoon. Come for a little wander. I've got to keep in the shade really, me, because I'm half a ginger. And it's 38 degrees, man. I do not do good in 38 degrees. Like Danny Ginger Boy, not do good in deserts. Like 18, 19 degrees, that's a warm day. Take your top off, enjoy it. These 38s and that's it's for Turkish people, and you know, it's not for ginger British men at all. But I wanted to talk about a little bit of chew I had on Facebook yesterday. I wouldn't call it chew, it was a bit of online rift or whatever, you know. It wasn't chew, it was obviously I get my fair share of grief online. I see it all the time. I've had to develop like a thick skin. You know, I've just had to. You know, I read stuff and stuff does not anger me, or you know, I don't really attach emotion to it. But you know, every now and then, I'll look and I'll read a few things and I'll say, do you know something? I've just decided, you know what I mean, to clap back. And when I decide to react or respond to somebody or something online, like I'm committed, right? That's it. That's it. All right, you wanted it, mate. Like, you've got it. And I fancy myself quite sharp with my mouth, you know what I mean? I'm quite witty and like I've got a mouth on me, you know, and I can be quite passionate. And, you know, I'll go as far to say I'm undefeated on social media. Yeah. A fair statement. So there's a fella yesterday, like I say, I decided to clap back or whatever, you know. His name's not important, but like, you know, he ended up apologising, okay? And I accepted gracefully. You know, I took the post down, and like I say, it's bizarre because sometimes, you know, these people online, you know, they present themselves as, you know, like dangerous, serious men. But in truth, you know, the reality is no serious, dangerous man would ever just randomly decide to target someone that they've never met. You know, it just doesn't correlate, you know, and it's not just my experience, it's like a fact. You know, people who are doing even moderately okay in life, like, they're not going to decide to randomly target someone online that they've never met and be really abusive, and it just doesn't happen, right? And that got cemented yesterday when I spoke to this lad a little bit in private. Like I say, he apologised and I accepted, and I wished him well, and he got in touch with us, and he's like, he opened up to us a little bit, right? And he told us that he was struggling, and he had anxiety, depression, he couldn't sleep, and there was some like childhood trauma that was really bothering him. And I must admit, I felt for him, right? I did feel for him. But, you know, that's the truth. That's the sad truth. You know, these people who target people online and who, you know, really cross the line with all this abusive stuff and that, talking about X, Y, or Z, right? They're not very well. You know, these people are not in a good place. I take it from me, I've been there myself. I've been in positions where I've, like, you know, unloaded on people physically and verbally just because, you know, I'm channeling my own resentment, my own anger, my own frustration, you know, and I'm projecting. You know, I've done it, I've been there, I know what it's like. And like I say, every now and then I just decide to clap back. And when I do that, like I say, it's not through like anger or frustration or whatever. Just for whatever reason, I feel like I employ like a sense of duty, and I feel it's my responsibility, you know, to show these people what time it is. Like, this is the real world. Like, there's no difference to me. Like, and what's mad is, you know, there's people out there, probably like this individual I was speaking to yesterday, who, you know, they're not fighters, they're not violent, they're probably not even confrontational, like in a real life setting. But, you know, you put a keyboard in front of them and they turn into like the sixth hardest man in the world. You know, they've got so much to say about so many. You know, and it reminds me a little bit now and then, you know, I've had experience with people who, you know, when they're in a car, they're driving a car, and all of a sudden, they become something that they would never be in reality. They become a really confrontational, like obnoxious, aggressive, ignorant individual with hand gestures and all this, you know, that because they're in a car, they feel safe. They've got like a steel barrier around them that's behind glass. You know, they feel like an element of safety. So they become something that they could never muster in reality. The same type of people that you get these keckers online, you know, and they become something that they could never ever muster, you know, in a real life setting. But like I say, it's the sad truth. These people that do that, they never seem to be doing very well. You know, so if you have got people out there hammering you, you know, people who've never even met you, you know, don't always take it personally. You know, if you've got time in your life to spend hours and hours on the internet abusing people that you've never met, then you're not doing very well, are you? You know, and that's the sad truth, and that's not just my experience, that's just a fact. You know, people who are doing well, you know, people who have got like, you know, flourishing lives or, you know, successful businesses and anything, and people don't have anything to say about anybody. They just get on with it. We're all entitled to an opinion. No, but if you're going to cross the line, and you're going to be one of these people who, you know, adopt like a gangster persona when you're online, making idle threats and empty promises, and then, you know, when the shit hits the fan and stuff gets real and someone's on the way to your house, you know, they revert back to what they actually are, which is not a fighting man, not confrontational, and often, you know, rather sorry and apologetic. It's like I say, it's a crazy, crazy world. But yesterday, as an example, you know, that fella, God bless him, I did feel for him. You know, he said he had all kinds of problems. I ended up actually recommending some Supreme CBD to him. But isn't it mad, you know, how things work out? I actually felt for the lad in the end, and I hope he's all right. But like I say, don't be one of these people who targets people online and, you know, your mouth writing checks that your chin can't cash. Just be yourself. You know, if you're not a confrontational, violent fighting man, don't come online and pretend to be one. Okay? Okay. Have a beautiful day, brothers and sisters. Bye-bye for now.